This is our first lesson for Euclidean, and we start with Theorem 1. Theorem 1 says, if you have a big triangle with a small triangle or two separate triangles, then the line that is drawn parallel to one side of the triangle divides the other two sides in the same proportion. That only means that AB over DB, so divided by that one, part, equals the length of AE divided by the length of EC. So that's what it means. Alright, now before we get to the proof of the theorem, we first need to do a little bit revision of the area of a triangle. Now if you have a triangle like this, how do I get the perpendicular height if I need to calculate the area of the triangle? It's from one angle to the opposite side, and it must be perpendicular on the opposite side. Okay. Now let's say I want to draw it from this angle. So that is my perpendicular height. Do you all agree? What happens if I draw a triangle like this? And I want the perpendicular height of this angle, from this angle. Then it's also perpendicular on that side. So that is my perpendicular height. Do you agree? Alright. That is what you're going to need to prove this theorem. So we start with given a triangle ABC with D on AB and E on AC, so that DE is parallel to BC. So that's given. I'll give you that. I want you to prove that this side length divided by that one is equal to this side length divided by that one. Now we have a construction. So you draw a line DC, this orange one, and you draw a line BE, this orange one. You have to do that, it's not on your paper. With altitudes or perpendicular heights, this one and that one. I only have one. I'll give you an Afrikaans. Then you just redraw it at home. Alright. So you have to draw, connect B and E, connect D and C, and draw two perpendicular heights, named H and K. Right, is everybody there? Now, the proof we do with the areas of the triangles. The area of the yellow triangle will be half times base, AD, times height, perpendicular height, H. Why don't I choose the base as AE or DE? You always choose the base as the one where to the perpendicular height comes from. So that's the base because the perpendicular height lies on that line. And we also calculate the area of the blue triangle. It's half times base. Base is dB, but it's extended, times the perpendicular height h. Okay? And then you cancel out the half, the h and the h, and then what remains is AD over dB. Okay, that's part of what we need to prove. Do you all follow? This one. Okay. The area of the yellow triangle is half times base times perpendicular height, the h. The area of the blue triangle is half times base, it's BD, but it's extended, so that's the perpendicular height on BD. BD is extended. Okay, are you with me? And then you cancel out the halves and the h's, and what's left is AD over DB. Right. Now we look at the same yellow one and the pink one. So we do the same there. The area of the yellow one is half times base, but now the base is AE because we have a new height for the pink one. So we also use that height for the yellow one. And you cancel out the halves and the k's, and then you get AE over EC. Alright? Everybody with me here, there? Now they say, but the area of the blue one is the same as the area of the pink one. Because if you have two parallel lines and the triangles fit in between those parallel lines and they have the same basis, then and the same heights, then their areas are the same. So the reason for this area to be equal to that area is they have the same base and the same perpendicular height. Therefore, this area, yellow over blue, equals yellow over pink. So those areas are the same. Therefore, if those two areas are the same, it means that these two fractions are the same. Or the same proportions are the same. Okay, and that's what you have to prove. Okay. So the converse is when a line segment divides two sides of a triangle. So this line segment divides the two sides of the big triangle and their proportions are the same, then those two lines are parallel. Then altogether, the inverse. Okay. The theorem says, I have a line parallel to one line of a triangle, therefore these other sides can have the same proportions. Now the converse is, I start here, I have the same proportions, therefore those two lines are parallel. Right. Now what you have to conclude, what is not on the paper. You can also say that AD over AB, AD, the top part over the whole side, AB, equals AE over AC. Make sure that you write it correctly. AD over AB equals AE over AC. Okay, let's look at the next one. Don't write yet. AB, the big one, over AD, the top one, will be the same as the big one AC over AE. Let's write that one. The next one. Look here. AB, the big one, over BD, the bottom one, will be the same as the big one on the other side, AC over the small bottom, EC. Alright, that's this one. And the last one, let's look here. BD, yeah.
I can ask you something while you wait for the screen to load. This page, like where does it come
And the sign of the Okay, let's carry on. The last proportion is BB, the small one at the bottom, over DA, the big one on top, equals the same as CE over AE. Because the proportion was that. So you can use any proportion.
But can you see that they're like
then this line must go there.
This is the last conclusion.
This line must lie there. Then you can use that over this. Okay. Right.
Can I see the last one?
Last one. Now we do the next example. The first example. Are you all done? need a little like. Let's see if you can figure out the first one. BC over CD will be what? Equal to? Why? What is the reason? Oh, you are so good. Line parallel to one side of a triangle. Where do you get that? Just above the picture of the theorem.
Then why is this not being put here?
Why is this?
Why is it not being put here? Then I was asking him why is it not being put here? What's different with this one and being put here? So I'm not sure.
I can't even hear.
Then what's different with this theorem that we're learning and the midpoint theorem? What's the difference between the two?
Now we have proportions. The midpoint was if you is half, yeah. The other one is if you connect the half of this side to the half of that side, then it will be parallel. But now we can now we have parallel lines, so we have proportions as well.
This one still works.
Yeah. Okay, the next one. What will the next one be? BD over CD. Yeah. FD over ED. Wait.
Do you use maths if it's not like an alphabetical order?
I try to write it in alphabetical order, but sometimes I write it in the direction where it goes. Okay, I can also ask you the proportions with two dots instead of a fraction. So it means the same. AB over BD, or you can read it as AB to BD. So AB and BD will be the same as GFFD. Okay, try the last one on your own. You can write it alphabetically, or you can write it as you go on. Well, no, you have to write it with the dots.
The small triangle only being a big triangle.
No, they can be separate triangles.
Then will they tell us that the angle is
The last one, AD, so it's the big one, over BD will be the same as GD over FD. And remember, you have to write your reason each time. Now, let's look at example 2. I say in triangle ABC, so it's the big one, DE is parallel to BC. Okay, they indicated that. AB, the big one on the left hand side, is 28 millimeters. So write that on your picture. 28 millimeters. Then they also say The proportion of AE to EC, therefore AE to EC is 4 to 3. When I give it to you like that, and I give you a big size, we make the 4 and the 3 4x and 3x, because 4 and 3 can't add up to 28. Okay, so we make that 4x and 3x. Now they ask you, determine the length of BD, this one. Okay, what are we going to do? We have to use this theorem. We need BD. We have AB. So we're going to use that proportion. BD, BD over AB will be equal to what? EC over AC, and the reason is line parallel to one side of the triangle. You always start with your formula. You don't substitute now in the first step. Okay, in the second step, the following one. Now you substitute your values. BD doesn't have a value, so we keep it BD. Over 28 equals 3x over, and AC is 4x plus 3x. That's why it's 7x. Cross multiply. I want BD alone, so I divide by 7x. Cancel out, and then you get your answer. Yes. In the test, you have to show the following steps, where you calculated your proportion and your reason. Then the substitution. And then maybe you'll get 1 mark for showing how your calculations go, and you get 1 mark for your answer. And remember, if they give you a unit, you must write your units. Right. Are there any questions? Everybody happy? The first lesson is very easy. Your homework for tomorrow . Exercise 1 on page 10 to 12, number 1 to 4. Okay, you may start now.